Hey guys, how's it going? Derek Crick here with another oilfieldbasics.com video blog. Today we're going to be talking about Micro-Annulus, what it is, what causes it, and some remediation options. And with that is going to be a focus on Renegade's brand new casing expansion tool. So I'd like to thank Renegade for sponsoring this episode, for helping us bring this material to you guys. If you guys are new to this channel, I invite you to please subscribe and follow us on our social media. We do educational videos, partner with companies, discuss careers, so much more. We have a podcast, guys, so check it out. Check out oilfieldbasics.com for all of this material, as well as the podcast links to the other videos and online courses, many of which are free, so check it out. All right, so the very first thing we need to learn is what a microannulus is. All right, so I want you to think about a standard cementing job. Anyway, just like everything else in the oil field, things don't always go as planned. All right, so if you look at this kind of a detailed fashion, right, and kind of blow up this portion, you've got your production casing, your surface casing, and in between you should have perfect cement, perfect bondage, right? But sometimes, maybe because of the reasons we're about to describe, you might have a microannulus. There might be a void, either somewhere in the cement. Typically, I think it's typically found on the outside of the production casing, and it's the microannulus exists right there. So it's just a channel that allows gas, sometimes liquid, to travel through it. So that's what we're dealing with when we're talking about what a microannulus is. Now I'll hit on this in just a minute, but this is what Renegade's tool is designed to fix. Their wireline deployable tool creates crimps in the casing, basically expanding small segments outward in order to seal off this microannulus. All right, so next let's talk about causes. What are some reasons that a microannulus can form? These I actually got off of blog.wellcome.com, so there's my source. Colin B is the author of that, so thank you for summarizing all of this for us. First cause can be cracks in cement. So as the cement is setting itself, it can crack, right? Just like many other things, as things harden, it can get cracks in it naturally. Second thing, inadequate cleaning. So if the outside of your casing or inside of your outer casing is not very clean, or the formation, basically if a good bond isn't created because of junk in the way. Third, hydrostatic. So this is more so referring to if you actually don't have enough hydrostatic pressure on it as the cement is hardening, then it can actually, sometimes you can get gas come in, or basically reservoir inflow, and then thus creating channeling and a microannulus in the cement as it hardens. Fourth, I believe this is probably the more common, at least the common theory of a lot of the modern day issues of microannulus on new wells. So when we have expansion and contraction of the casing itself. So as things heat up or cool down, as you're pumping fluids or not pumping fluids anymore, or especially in the hydraulic fracturing process, whenever you are applying thousands and thousands and thousands of PSI of pressure inside your casing, it can sometimes even make that casing swell out. So then whenever you're done fracking, you let off of it. Now, maybe that's how you got a microannulus. Now you might be asking yourselves, how on earth do we know if we have a microannulus in a well, besides the surface casing pressure that we would see at surface, right? We run what's called a cement bond log. So it's a wireline log, you run it, you get it back, and here's a sample of it provided by Renegade. Now on this particular example that was supplied, you can see that without pressure, if you look at the amplitude line, then you can see that it's actually higher on the case without pressure than on the case with pressure. Now basically what that's saying is that there is a void there, and you can see that whenever you pressure up your well, that casing will expand and you get that void, or that microannulus will be sealed off. So that, in a nutshell, is a cement bond log. You can interpret that's the whole science in and of itself. Now this is an issue we see all over the US, all over the world, onshore, offshore, everywhere. So regardless of what you think caused the issue, we can all agree that it is indeed an issue. Creates not only an environmental threat, but it can also allow for the migration of liquid and or gas to migrate from shallower reservoirs or from the producing formations to the surface. And when that happens, we get what we call SCP, surface casing pressure. Not only can this demonstrate poor well construction, but it can also prove integrity loss. We also see regulatory bodies beginning to ask questions, trying to address it, and asking operators to remediate the issues. not only is remediation expensive, but it is oftentimes unsuccessful. You're literally trying to plug off a little tiny annulus behind pipe, in between or around cement, and another pipe or the formation. So your access is extremely limited and your options are limited. So in terms of remediation, if you have not drilled the well yet and you're still in the planning stage, there are things you can do. You can use fancy cement on your primary cement job, spend a lot of money that way and hope that it works, right? So there are things such as self-healing cement and resin coated or resin cement. So there are things in the market that exist, and so you might see that used more offshore. But a lot of times these are on existing wells. So if you've got an existing one, you want to try to remediate a microannulus, that's basically always going to require a workover rig. And so one of the common options is going to be what we call a squeeze job. And a very high level of what a squeeze job is literally sending in perforating guns, perforating a spot in the casing that you want to get access to the microannulus. So if we're looking at the detail, perforating it, and then literally you have something that isolates it here, and then you are literally pumping cement into, you're literally squeezing cement into this little tiny space, this little tiny void. Not only is it expensive and requires a workover rig and perforating guns, it literally creates a hole in your casing, and also you're applying pressure whenever you're doing it. So your casing can swell perhaps and kind of collapse that microannulus, and it's going to be hard to determine where that cement's going to go. Now the good news is that Renegade is launching a new tool that hopefully better remediate this issue at a lower cost and a higher success rate.
So there must be a modern way to solve the problem of annular issues, and we've come across it with a CET.
Now while no tool or method is perfect in our industry, let's walk through the method of how this tool should work, and time will tell and prove or disprove its track record. And thankfully Renegade has supplied us with animations for this portion of the video. Now the cone at the top of the tool is mechanically driven via an electric over hydraulic system located within the CET or the casing expansion tool, which forces the fingers outward by an actuated cone in an even radial motion, which locally expands the casing.
The tool set at a 2 amp max, so as it expands, once it reaches that 2 amp threshold, then that's a full expansion, and then the tool stops cycling power there. It's very simple to run, as easy as flip switch to expand, power it up, it expands, flip the switch to retract, and then it retracts.
Now the pressure of the ring on the cement will cause the cement to actually locally densify. Now that should close off any gaps or small channels within the cement. And one thing to note is that this is all plastic deformation, okay? So without getting too technical about that, literally that means that it produces a permanent change in the shape or size of an object, but without fracture. Now when they run this tool, they do a series of 3 what we call crimps. They'll crimp it in the bottom of the area, the top, and then they'll come back and then they'll do it in the middle. Now that would help make sure that the cement doesn't actually move uphole or downhole as you're applying pressure on certain areas. So they do bottom, then top, and then the middle to make sure that that channel is sealed. Now the result of the crimping is pretty cool, as you can see in this video. And also note that it is a 360 crimp, 360 degree crimp. So you don't have to worry about, like if you're doing a squeeze job, worrying about where exactly that cement's going to go and if it's going to plug the microannulus or not. This is literally creating a 360 degree crimp.
This is a 7-inch, 55-pound casing cutaway, and you can see the crimps that are applied. We're not losing any material, we're just moving it. It's about 150 metric tons of force to apply a crimp. I won't say the tool is bulletproof, but definitely a very tough tool, which it has to be whenever you're moving this casing like that.
Now it's also good to note that a casing collar locator can be ran across the area of crimps to verify that the operation was a success. Now obviously there are many benefits of using the CET tool to remediate microannulus, including, you don't need a rig, all you need is wireline. You don't have to perforate, you don't need any high pressure pumps, you don't need near as many people to be involved with the process. You can run within a variety of size of casings, and also should hopefully be done at a reduced cost. You need less equipment, less man hours, all of these things combined, less cost.
No ID reduction, no sacrificial parts, we're not leaving anything behind. Fully reusable, we can apply as many crimps in a well in one shot as we may need to.
The other critical thing too is that it is done at normal well conditions, so you don't have to pressurize up your well to take care of this issue, because if you pressurize it up, then you can risk sealing off the microannulus and then not having anything to pump into anyways. So kind of stabbing yourself in the back. And just like me, your biggest question is probably going to be, well, what does this do to the casing, or what does this do to the cement? Does that degrade the integrity of it so that you can create another issue?
Lab testing has proven that we're not deteriorating the cement in any fashion, and the same with the casing. FEA testing's been done, as well as burst testing. You can see the blue line is plain pipe without any crimps, and the orange line is a dented piece of casing. They track right along together up to where the casing begins to balloon, and acted the same all the way up to the limits of the pressure testing capability.
Now, while this is a brand new tool, it's important to realize that it has a pretty good looking track record already. It was used in Canada, where surface casing vent flows were reduced from over 300 liters a day to 0. And so if you're interested in running the tool or have questions about it, please don't hesitate to reach out to Scotty Brown. He's the one that I sat down with at the beginning of this idea to do this video. Literally walked me through it, and you've seen clips of him throughout the video. Don't hesitate to reach out to him.
We're a little in front of the curve here, just trying to bring awareness to the tool and generate a little interest and start letting companies know, hey, we've got a cost-effective means to tackle this issue.
So thanks again, guys, for watching another oilfieldbasics.com video blog. As always, if you like these types of videos, if you like what we do, like what we're about, please subscribe, like the video, share it with a friend. If you have any questions, please comment. We'll try to get back with you. And with that said, guys, we will see you in the next video.